Hello, everyone. Welcome to our live session. Today, we have with us, we are discussing on the topic of relationship dynamics. Yes, we are talking on the topic of relationship dynamics. And I have Aarti Chawla with us, who is an expert in this field, who's going to be talking and taking us through this amazing live session. Welcome, Aarti. Can you introduce
Hello.
yourself and tell us what you do and what's the work experience that you have in relationship dynamics? Over to you.
Hi. A very good evening, everybody. My name is Aarti, and thank you so much, Mani, for calling and for inviting for this podcast. I'm really excited. So, to share about me, I'm a relationship coach and a life coach, a therapist, a hypnotherapist, and coming with the 16 years of experience in corporates. I'm a people's person, as I mentioned in my bio. Also, I love talking to people. I love meeting people. And that's what made me inclined towards counseling, therapy, and so on and so forth. Thank you so much for inviting once again.
Lovely, lovely. So, Aarti, if you can share with me, what are the relationship dynamics in a couple? If you can just dive deep into it and help us understand what are the relationship dynamics in a couple?
So, see, I'm going back to our scriptures. I'm going back to our, religion, though religion is not something that I am propagating here, but dynamics in a couple is not just between two people. It is between two value systems, two families, to the way people are raised, the way their upbringing is, their belief system. So a dynamics in a couple is very, I would say, vulnerable. Yeah, it is a very vulnerable aspect because at times we come from different backgrounds, come from different values, different belief system, and it is very important that we are on the same page. I'm not saying that we should or we could get somebody who's exactly a duplicate or exactly like us, but it's very important to come on the same page before we delve into a long-term relationship. So sometimes, and a lot of times, this is where I get a lot of issues, like a lot of cases having issues in their priorities, in their beliefs, in how the children are supposed to be, brought up, and all of that. So that's what is a tricky thing, the dynamics.
Right. So, when you say coming on the same page, Aarti, what are the most important things that someone should come on same page? See, if someone is looking for a relationship, it's a different story. But imagine we're already married. Yes.
Yes.
So we're already married. So how can someone come on the same page when they're already married? What dynamic should we keep in mind so that we don't, kind of create an imbalance in the system?
Yes. Thank you so much for asking. It's a very good question because we know the theoretical part of it, but we sometimes, since we are already in a relationship, we forget the practical aspect of it. So a very good question. Um, so like how Vidya Balan in Dirty Picture said, entertainment. So I would say to come on the same page, the only mantra is communication. So that is what is the base of a relationship. Whether you are already married or in a long-term partnership or you're looking out, the only way to come on a same page or to match your expectations, match your beliefs and value system is to communicate and to talk about it beforehand. And I also urge, that you earlier it was a taboo, but I really urge all my audience here who are listening to me and everybody who I meet that a couple counseling or a marriage counseling, whether it is premarital or it is postmarital or it is, when you are planning to go into a relationship, just a relationship and not a marriage, it is very important to have that same page. And counseling does not mean, there's something wrong in the relationship. Counseling does not mean that one of you all will have to kind of compromise or, do certain things to please the other people, the other partner. But, it is very important to have set things in place, and a counselor can definitely give a external perspective or an eagle eye on the relationship basis the experience and basis the normal problems that couples have after they get into a relationship. So that's what I would like to say.
Right. So you just said the most important thing is communication, communication, and communication, right? So how do communication styles impact the dynamics of a relationship? And what are the different communication styles which exist?
I am so happy that you asked this question, because when we were working in a corporate, and when I was also a faculty in a Mumbai University college, we used to teach communication, and the way communication is taught there in our education system is really different from how it actually happens in relationship. And unfortunately, our education system does not teach us those basic things that are required for a relationship to be successful. And thank you so much for asking this question. um, you know we all have certain languages. Not everybody is the same. So I could be a physical person where I like touch and, feel and touch and all of that. Somebody else could be a verbal person where, it is good if you ask them, oh, how was your day when they come back from work? And for me, it is important that I get a hug when my husband comes back from work. So all of us have different communication styles. And it is very important to first know your love language, your communication style. What is it that you want? What is it that you like? Not just in terms of intimacy, but also in terms of what is it that you appreciate? Do you appreciate a good meal cooked by your partner and sitting at home and binging on Netflix? Or do you like going out and, maybe clubbing or partying or just having dinner outside? So it is important that we know our language, what kind of person we are, what kind of language we have. And, majorly there are five love languages. Somebody likes, and a word of appreciation, as I mentioned. They are somebody who like appreciation. Somebody would like, physical touch. And somebody would like a service, a gesture. Maybe, for me, if my husband is cooking a good meal, or chalo good meal chodo, aajkal nobody does that. I mean, especially after COVID, they have started learning. But prior to that, I don't think any male used to cook, just on a lighter side. So for me, if he's making a meal or a tea, or giving me coffee in the morning, that's an act of service for me. That's something that I would like and that I would appreciate. So first thing first, know your love language. Second, understand your partner's love language also. Understand other, okay, it's not limited to only a romantic partner, even maybe your parents, maybe, other people in the family, your children. Sometimes, like how I remember my mother's love language was to give a lot of food and feed the children on time with good healthy stuff and all of that. And but sometimes that's not what a child is looking for, or that's not what a partner is looking for. All we are looking for is maybe some quality time and a heart to heart conversation. So understand what is it that you are, and then also understand your partner's or the other person's communication style, and then you will have a really strong bond.
Right. That's such a powerful thing that you said. If you can list down what are the five love languages that people have, just one, two, three, four, five. You can go for it like that. It would be helpful.
Yeah. So I just mentioned, I think most of them, the verbal language, like how you appreciate, how you say, oh, you're looking nice, oh, you're looking good. That is one. Second is, physical, where, the partner likes, physical touch and hugs and all of that. The other one is act of service, where, the partner would like you to do something, for you. So these are the major three languages mostly found in most of us.
Okay, to all the viewers, quick, go ahead and type in what is your love language. So for me, it is always words. Words matter
Exactly.
so much for me. First comes words. To everyone
Yes.
who's watching this live on different platforms, go ahead and type what is your love language? What is your communication style? Is it words? Is it touch? Or is it act of service? What is your love language? Like my dad. Uh,
Hmm.
in the olden days, when we look at communication styles of people, that generation and our generation, right? When we look at both the generations right now, it's so funny that when I look at my dad, I clearly see his love language is hard work. He thinks if he works very
Ah,
hard, he works very
yeah.
hard, and then that is what is his sign of love. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And my
yeah.
mom's is gifts. She loves gifting us. She loves gifting the whole world. Any place she goes, she buys 30, 40 things to get, and
Yes.
she just gets. My
Yes.
husband's
Giving,
love
a lot
language
of
is,
giving,
yeah,
giving
there's a lot
certain
of
things.
giving. Yes,
Yes.
and my husband's language is touch. Right? No matter what I say, it doesn't matter. If I just touch him, it's more than enough.
Yes,
Right?
yes,
So,
yes.
thank you for
Absolutely.
bringing it out because, unconsciously we know it, but to actively use it is very, very powerful.
Yeah, that's what, and we seldom know ourselves. We don't know ourselves. How do we know the other person? Our education system does not teach us how to know ourselves, how to acknowledge our traits, how to find out our traits. How do we expect a person we've spent 2, 3, 5 years with will understand me and do exactly what I want, right?
Right.
So it is important that we understand, we acknowledge, and we are aware of our communication style and love language, and then we also communicate it with our partner.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that really insightful discussion. So, another major thing that I observe in relationships is power dynamics, Aarti.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? It's not just love. I feel people use different situations to express their power in a relationship. Have you observed this? And what's your insight into this?
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much for asking this question, because this is sometimes, a reason of differences. This is a reason of, um, conflict. And a lot of times it is observed, it's also a reason of a breaking up of a relationship, whether it is a marriage or a relationship, and also a divorce, right? So, for this, I really will have to go to my, favorite topic, which is the childhood trauma, or the childhood, upbringing that we have. And so, where does this come from? We need to understand, why will a person want to be powerful than the other person? So the only reason I would want to be more powerful than the other person will be when I am having that insecurity, or I am having that, the need to show my power. Yeah. And for that, I need to feel small. You understand? If I feel small, I will have a need to go to that level where I am powerful. Yeah. So this is very, very important to understand, that whatever is your the childhood, whatever experiences that you've had in the childhood, whatever beliefs that you've had, whatever you've seen, maybe in your family, maybe with your parents, your caregivers, whatever is our experience is what creates our personality today. And if my personality today is needing that power, that means somewhere I would have not got it. So of course we can. Mani, I really believe in two kinds of work that I do normally with my students and clients. One is a conscious work, like how consciously I'll tell you that this is my love language. Consciously, you should know what is it that you like, what is it that your partner likes, and how is your love language. The other very, very important part that again our education system doesn't teach us, we don't do, is the subconscious work. It is very, very important that we subconsciously, we have picked up a lot of kachra, a lot of garbage here in our head. It is important to release that. It is important to work on that, because while we are young, when we are very small, our subconscious mind is absorbing everything around us. It is like a fertile land. And how in a fertile land you are putting seeds. Similarly, in the childhood, there are certain seeds which are sown into our mind. And when we grow up, we are an outcome of that. If we are sowing a good seed, we'll get a good tree. If you're going a bad seed, we'll get a bad tree. If I am sowing a tree that I am small, I am not allowed to talk at home. I am not given that space to talk at home and all of that. As I grow up, I become that person who has power dynamics. I will be that person who is, wanting to have that power because somewhere I feel small. So when this kind of a case comes, I always talk about, working on doing inner work, working on yourself, healing your inner child, healing that part of you that wants, to be at that power stage. So, and it could be anybody. It's not necessary. Usually we've seen, males are dominating or males are wanting that power. It is not gender specific. It could be even females. So of course, consciously we have to work on it. We have to understand the partner, give space. There are certain bonding activities, and we do a lot of counseling and a lot of therapeutic work. But the thing that is most important is to work on your deeper inner self.
So how do we know in a relationship it's not operating from a place of love, but it's operating from a place of power? How do we know the difference?
Good question. How do we know it's not operating from the space of love, but from power? Okay, good question. So power means inequality. Power means somebody is above and somebody is below. If one of the partner does not feel safe in the relationship or feels as if they are walking on eggshells, they cannot express themselves, they are not able to give their opinion, and as soon as they give their opinion, either they are stonewalled or they are not heard or they are not seen. You understand this concept of stonewalling?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So for my audience, I'd like to share this interesting concept of stonewalling. Now, this concept is when one of the partner is emotionally not available, and the other partner wants them to be emotionally available. So the second partner will keep on looking for that kind of emotional availability where there's validation, where there is bonding, friendship, understanding, she's heard or he's heard, again, not gender specific. But the other partner is just like a wall. So like how you put stones on the wall and they come back to you, the other partner is either not hearing you, or even if it is he or she is hearing you, is just throwing the stones back to you. Yeah. So if that is the scenario, if that is something that happens, and that is a power dynamic, that is something where it is coming from the space of power that, I am the big one, you are the small one. Whatever you say, it doesn't matter to me. Whatever you want, it doesn't matter to me. So that is something which is, which shows that there is a need to be more emotionally bonded in the relationship. And when it is from the space of love, to answer your question, when it is from the space of love, when there is so I believe this concept of love is very, very delusional, honestly speaking. So it is more about understanding, it is more about creating that space for the other person to be seen, to be heard, to be the way they are, to be accepted like how they are. If that is there, if you accept your partner the way he or she is, there is this love dynamic. If you want your partner to change, or you want your partner to not express themselves, and whenever there is expression, there's stonewalling, there's gaslighting, you will it is not love, for sure.
Thank you for sharing that. Such a beautiful one. So if you can talk about some common challenges that couples face in resolving conflict. See, challenges are part of life, right? Without a challenge, I don't think any relationship exists without any challenge. Challenges are definitely part of the, but how do we resolve our challenges? That is what is going to make a massive difference on how healthy a relationship is, right? So I feel it's a very unrealistic expectation to say that, oh, I won't have any problem in this relationship. That I think that's absolute BS. It doesn't exist. There is no relationship
Abs-
without any challenges. But how do we resolve the conflicts is what I feel is a mature relationship, and that's where the beauty in the relationship lies. So do you want to add a perspective on that, Aarti?
Yeah, so there are certain principles that we must follow to make a relationship work. I mean, it's a big. There are studies which have been done. There are books which have been written. There are a lot of work has been done, and it's a very very good question. Thank you for asking this. So yes, of course, when there are two people coming from different thoughts, different values, conflicts are bound to happen, but how do we maneuver, how do we work on it is very very important. And the biggest, again I would like to say, is the biggest important thing here is to resolve a conflict here is again communication. Once we know, it's not about while you are communicating you are accepting that okay, I was wrong that time. Maybe the other partner just wants to be heard, just wants to know their perspective. Okay, so a very very important thing is, and usually uh the conflicts are unresolvable if one of the person is not ready to even discuss about it. I think this is a myth that you should sleep over it and then discuss it next day, and then come with a fresh mind, or take a break, go for a walk, come with a fresh mind and talk. I feel of course if you're in an angry situation you can go for a walk and take a break and all of that, but I think it is very very important for both the partners to come and discuss on what worked and what did not work. Yeah, because the major reason of conflict is difference of opinion. Now, if there is difference of opinion between two people, it will keep on happening every time. Nobody's going to budge, right? Nobody's going to change because we've stayed like that 20, 25, 30 years, and now we've come together. I cannot change my perspective. I cannot change what I believe, and I have a voice. I will voice out and I will have an opinion. So having a difference of opinion is perfectly fine, but communicating about that difference so that you learn more about the situation, about your partner, and handle it in a better way in future is something that is the most important thing to resolve. So
Hmm.
when we only have, as a counselor, when I only give a space to the couple to talk and to express themselves one by one, I think that itself is enough for the other person to understand where the other person was coming from. And that lacks because we are operating out of the ego self. Most of the times, humans are operating from the ego self. And we do not want to listen to the other person's opinion because we feel, I will become small if I agree to this person, or I will become small if, she is given that charge of this situation, or so on and so forth. We all have our, conditioning and our beliefs and all, so on and so forth. So it is very, very important, to understand so that we don't repeat, and what you don't heal repeats. So if you're not healing that, now here what I mean by healing is, if you're not listening to the other person, not understanding their point of view, not understanding where they come from, it will repeat. And first time it will be a normal conflict, second time it will become aggressive, third time it may go to a next level. So the best solution to this is to understand each other's perspective, to understand where the other person is coming from, and then set certain ground rules for the next time.
Hmm.
What we do, we create our boundaries, we create okay, this is not supposed to happen, that's not supposed to happen, I didn't like this, I didn't like that. Okay, talking is fine, but it is also important that we set certain ground rules and the consequences to it. Yeah. So it may feel very corporatish that, we are making ground rules and all of that. But believe you me, it becomes very, very helpful for couples who are going through conflict. And it's one of the most important conflict resolution ways.
Wow. So having ground rules, once you go through an issue, setting up ground rules and making sure the next time something like this happens, we do not get into that space. That is what
Yes.
you are recommending. So, Aarti, what I want to ask you over here is any basic ground rules which run universally for most people? Any basic ground rules that you recommend which go universally for most couples? If you can talk about that.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for getting to this question. Because, once the wheel has been invented, it's not required to be reinvented again and again. So thank you so much. So I believe there are, first of all, each to his own. Of course, it depends from person to person also. But a very, very important thing to note here is all humans are the same species, and somewhere or the other we have that basic need. Maslow's needs of hierarchy of needs also say that the basic need that we have is one, the basic roti kapda makan, and the second is the emotional needs, the need to be heard, the need to be accepted, the need to be socially accepted as a person, as how I am, as how how my traits are, how my maybe sometimes it also applies to how I look or how I sound, right? So the basic rule that I think everybody should have is the rule of acceptance. Okay, because you need to understand that there are two different people who have come from very, very different conditioning. Maybe you are staying in the same city, maybe you are staying in the same atmosphere or same environment, still you and maybe same culture. Tamilian marrying a Tamilian, maybe their culture is same, but their conditioning, their environment could be different. So the basic ground rule is the rule of acceptance. You need to accept where the other person is coming from and give them space to be who they are, their authentic self. Yeah, so that I think is very, very important. Normally, it is seen that in Indian society we talk about men when they're about to get married, or they're looking for a bride for the groom. They say shadi ke baad sab theek ho jayega, he will start taking responsibility, bachcha aayega, sab theek ho jayega, the child will make them more responsible, the girl will become more responsible once the child comes, and so on and so forth. So if at all the basic the how do I say, the foundation of a relationship is looking for change in the person, it is not going to survive.
Wow.
And it is going to become very, very difficult, because you are only and only looking for change in that person, and you're not coming from the whole acceptance. You're not operating from that acceptance
But वैसे आप देखो
consciousness.
तो 100% of Indian marriages are to change someone only.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, that's what, and that is what is our conditioning. Because our parents were taught the same when they were young, and they were taught the same when our grandparents were young. So that is how our conditioning is. We have seen, we have heard this during our childhood, and we are conditioned that marriage means change. And that's the reason the rate of marriages, the rate of people being single till the age of 40, the rate of divorce has really increased. Do you know, from 2016 till today, there has been 20% hike in divorce.
Wow.
40% of marriages are getting into a breakup, a separation, or a divorce out of 100. So every 10 couples, 4 couples are officially, going to the stage of a breakup. 2 of them are not happy, but still they are living. The rest 2 are living only for the sake of children. And maybe the balance 20% are really enjoying the partnership.
Thank you for sharing that these numbers. But I think these numbers are very positive. Rather than living in toxic relationships, people are
Yeah,
getting out, and that's a very, very good sign for the society right now, according to me.
absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. But,
So,
sorry, I'm interrupting you here, but, sometimes it is also a reason of concern, because if that this is how the marriages are declining. The whole institute, people, the young generation, the Gen Zs, they do not believe in this institution of marriage, and this is such a pure and such a beautiful institution of marriage. But the Gen Zs these days, they are very vocal. They express. They are very, very emotionally regulated, and they are very, very emotionally aware of what is it and what's happening. And they somehow are fearful of marriage, which is sad, which is really sad. Of course, I mean, if you've got into a bad marriage, if you've got into a relationship which is not working, it is toxic, you must get out of it. And the reason I feel here is money, because this last 10 years of our Indian societal evolution, I will say, we've taught the woman to stand up, work, study. We've taught the woman to take charge, but we've not taught the males or the men of the society to respect the woman who is independent. We've taught the woman to maybe do household work, do work and be at a CEO level, run the corporate race just like males do. But we have not taught them how to regulate their emotions, because of which, when there is a lot of pressure, home, work, and there's a lot of other emotional pressures, they give up. So that's the irony. And I think this is the last generation of ours, and the coming generation of Gen Zs will be very, very different, because they are very, very ahead in terms of evolution than our generation. They understand emotions. They are very, very emotionally aware of themselves, and they are vocal. So they, do not want to get into anything like that.
Got it.
And this is our responsibility, that we teach our men now, the generation which is coming, we teach them how to respect the woman who is independent and who is working.
Right. So,
You know,
what are the warning signs, Aarti? Like, because I don't, there is a very fine line. I don't think it's not just about men being taught, right? Even if a man is being taught, right, they don't want to accept it because it's so easy, na? Chal raha hai na? ये सब क्या करना? It is. I don't blame just the parents in this situation, because it's not necessarily that they were not being taught. Even if they're being taught, even if there's a very this extreme comfort, which people take it for granted.
Yes, yes.
Right. So, what are the warning signs of unhealthy relationship dynamics?
Yeah. So this is something which is linked to the other answer that I was giving, Pavitra, because when we talk about conditioning, and when we talk about we are not taught, of course, I mean, I'm not, here pinpointing, or no offense. I'm not pinpointing any woman who has a, man, and who's a mother to a man, and all of that. All I'm trying to say is, maybe they are taught, but look at the conditioning. Look at, so a person, a child
Society
will,
at large is so hardwired into it,
exactly.
Right? Even if we teach, it's so easy to slip back into the hardwiring and stick to that and compare it.
Exactly.
It's so deeply hardwired. I don't think, even if parents are putting in the effort, no parents teaches their kids to disrespect. In the last 10, 15 years with educated parents, it doesn't happen anymore. But still, it's so beautiful, na? Ki, acha, this is how it was. This is how our grandparents were. This is how, it's so
So you've
easy.
answered. Yes, absolutely. You've answered your own question, because it is hardwired. It is the conditioning. That's what they see in the family. That's what they see in maybe their parents, the dynamics that they have. Maybe that's what, is coming in their DNA. It's so hardwired, and it is so in their upbringing, in their conditioning. I'm not saying anything is good or bad. It's a time of transition, Pavitra. It is moving from one belief to the other belief. It is moving from one setup to the other setup. That's the only thing, and it does take time. It does take time. It's already in the process, but it will. It does take time.
So, what
And
are
even if you
some
want
warning
to,
signs of unhealthy relationship dynamics?
great question. So, one, it is, some people say it also depends on their own level of tolerance. But this is something which I don't believe, because no person in this world would love to tolerate hate, or would love to tolerate comparison with the other person. So there are certain things which I would like to share to our audience today, which are, deal breakers. You know, if you feel that that's what is there, it is a red flag. It is something that will kill your relationship. If not today, maybe tomorrow. Yeah. So one of the important thing here is criticism. Again, going back to acceptance of your partner. Once you're not accepting your partner, you want to change. When you want to change, you will criticize. So that criticism, if that's there in a relationship, I feel somewhere, it loses that that whole quality of trait of understanding and love. Since we were talking about love dynamics and power dynamics in our previous chat, it we lose that whole flavor, because you're criticizing, and somewhere that is going deep inside the person's head. Somewhere she or he will feel that, I am not worthy. I'm doing something wrong maybe here. So that creates a lot of self-doubt, a lot of self-criticism, and eventually it becomes a cycle. So that is something which is usually seen as a deal breaker, or is a very, very, I will not say not only the red flag, but it's a maroon flag, a deep red flag. So, and sometimes that criticism changes.
We just think abuse is a red flag, right? Mental, it's, forget about physical abuse, mental abuse,
Yeah,
physical abuse, emotional abuse. But what you said is like really eye-opening. You're saying
thank
criticism.
you. Absolutely.
Criticism is a
See,
deep.
what is abuse? Yeah, thank you for pointing this. I see a lot of Instagram, reels and YouTube shorts, and, people are using this word very, very loosely. Let me tell you, there are certain words which are being used very loosely. Number one, abuse. Number two, narcissism. Number three, gaslighting. These narcissism is a disorder. It's a psychological disorder, narcissistic personality disorder. So you cannot label somebody narcissist or abusive. The whole last couple of minutes that we've spoken, I will not say a word abuse as big as an abuse so loosely. Why? Because abuse is something which is a very, very deep wound. Abuse is something which is so see, as we were talking about conflicts, there is a difference between personality, there's a difference between two people, and not agreeing on one particular aspect. People feel they're not agreeing to me, it's an abuse. I am being abused. I am not being if one of the partner is not listening or agreeing to what you're saying and not acting upon it, you're being abused. No, man, I mean, that's not abuse. You need to understand, it is not a competition. You are not in a competition who does what and who agrees to me and who understands, and agree. Basically, this is what is the expectation, that the other party, the other partner should do what I say. That is something which is unacceptable expectation. So yes, abuse is something which is very, very deep, I will say. Yes, physical, of course, is a different thing altogether. But even emotional abuse is a repetitive pattern. If there is repetition of certain things, repetition of criticism, repetition of gaslighting, repetition of putting you down in front of others, repetition of contempting you or demeaning you, that is what is abuse. A conflict is no abuse. A conflict between two people is something that you need to work on, that you need to resolve. And people don't want to resolve because they don't want to themselves compromise. That's what is fearful for them. Because if I go to a counselor, if I take this, take my husband or my wife to a counselor, somewhere I will also have to compromise. I will also have to. So, okay, let me term this as abuse. I'm in an abusive relationship. I am in a narcissistic, my husband is narcissistic. This is very, very loose, I'm telling you. Yeah. Yes. Criticism is something that I mentioned is something that is a red flag.
Wow, that's really, really powerful, Aarti. Thank you so much. So, to draw a line between criticism, abuse, narcissism, it's very important not to use those terms loosely in the context of relationships specifically, right? And also, other than criticism, which is very, very powerfully affecting a other individual, and they get, they become like, imagine a flower being getting bad words continuously. They just shrink like that.
Yes.
Other than that, what are the other red flags?
Yes. So,
Warning
second thing,
signs,
which
rather.
is, yes, warning signs, red flags. A very, very important thing that we need to understand is when there is a lot of, element of vengeance or keeping the score, or you understand that kind of a thing where you are keeping a score and you want to let the other person down, or you want to, again, that leads to criticism, but somewhere you have this in your personality where you are keeping a score. So if you see your partner keeping a score and telling, last time you remember you did this, now I am saying this, do this. So that is something, which usually I see when couples come and when they talk about, their conflicts and their issues. This is one of the major things, that one of the partner is keeping a score and, keeping a, so whenever there is 1 + 1 individual I and not we. Okay, let me here share a very, very important concept. So, we believe that for a relationship, there is this one person, which is 100% of maybe a feminine energy, who's a female. There's another person who's 100% of masculine energy. When they both get 100% of their energies, there is another bubble which is formed. Energetically, there's another entity which is formed in between them. And that is their entity of relationship. Okay. Now, you are not a single entity. He or she is not a single entity. When you both come together and create something called a relationship or create something called a marriage, that is a different entity altogether. And there you cannot be I did this, I want this, or I am this. You cannot have, because that's a couple identity. When you have an identity of we, that is what is this relationship's identity. So it also impacts how we communicate. If you're only communicating about, I need this, I want this, I need this, I am interested in going out, I want to go out, I want to party, I want to do this. It's all about me, 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 me. Where is this relationship entity? This whole new entity that has been born. Right? So that is something which really breaks most of the relationship. It breaks because we are not talking about this new entity which has been born. We are talking about our individual interests. We are talking about our individual scores. Okay, I've got this score and he's got this score. Last time we went for a boys' day, a night out. I will now go for a girls' night out. So that keeping that score in different individuals and not taking care of this new entity which has been born is a deal breaker. A very, very big maroon flag.
Great. And what about one is criticism, other is keeping score? Anything else that you can talk about, which could be a
Yes.
deal breaker?
Sure, sure. Thank you. So the third one I would like to share here will be, how do I say, harsh words or blunt communication. Okay, so sometimes what happens is we feel कि चलो ये तो partner है, इसको तो कैसे भी बात कर लो, you take the other person for granted. And we were talking about love languages earlier. So maybe you are taking a chill pill and you are just in your own zone of casual zone, but the other person's language is word of appreciation. The other person's language is certain good quality communication with you, but we are taking it for granted. Yeah. So when there are harsh words in a relationship, whether it is marriage or it is just a relationship, it said word spoken is like an arrow which has gone out of your mouth and it is never going to come back. Yeah. And I remember my mother telling me this when I was very young and I never used to understand that. I was like, ah, theek hai, to dost hote hain, casually, hi, hello, tu, tadak, all of that. So I'm not saying that, so that is okay. I mean, that is friendship. Of course, we should have that friendship, that level of friendship. But sometimes we are not sensitive to what we are saying. So even if there is something that we don't agree to, even if there is something that the other person is not doing right. So, you know what? It is said, suppose there are two people in a communication and there is a third person and you are having maybe a altercation or a fight with the third person for something that has happened in a social setup. Okay. And one of your partner is fighting or having a quarrel with the third person on one of the things, whatever is the situation. Imagine a situation that your partner is in a quarrel with the third person. So now here the question comes, what should I do as a partner? I know my partner is wrong and the third person is saying right. What should I do? If I say, no, you are wrong. Don't, shout, don't do this, don't do that. In front of the third person, I am demeaning her. If I am talking to the third person and saying, no, you are wrong. And, this is not how the way things are, I am demeaning the partner. Yeah. So both ways, here I'm demeaning the third person, here I'm demeaning the partner. Whose side should I take? What should I do? So a word, when the partner is aggressive or in that stage of aggression, a word said by the partner, the second partner, so here imagine the woman is having an altercation and the male is there and he's like, what should I do? A word that comes out of from a male's mouth at that time will have 100% more impact on the woman as in a normal situation. If you say, okay, leave it, this is not this way, this is the other way, you are wrong, it's gonna spoil everything. Okay. So again, step into the relationship bubble. Here, both the partners will have, one partner is aggressive and they are not in their senses or they are very, in this thing. The male or the second partner has to step into the relationship bubble and speak as one. Me and my partner are right. Even if you are wrong, even if your partner or your wife is completely wrong, become one for some time, at least for 10-15 minutes. Fight out. And then later on, you can tell your partner, no, this is how it was, or this is how it was. You were wrong, or you were right, or here is where you need to change, or here is where you need to change your perspective. So coming in that relationship bubble and whatever you are speaking impacts a lot. So this is what I mean to say when I give you the third, deal breaker. What the person says, what the person, how they support you, how they show their affection to you in a critical situation.
Beautiful. And with that, we come to the last question for the session, Aarti. How can couples support each other during challenging times? Yes, during normal times, all of us are like, this is good, that is good, it's working. How do couples support each other during challenging times?
Beautiful. So challenging times sometimes come every day. So, yeah, it is very important for couples to remember what is the reason at the first place they came together. As we evolve in a relationship, as the days pass, as the years pass, we forget, why did we get into this person? Why did we get into this relationship? Why did I choose this person at the first place? Yeah. So it is important to always remember whenever you think of, this person is not as per my expectation, or there are challenges, you're not able to come on common grounds and so on and so forth. Remember, why did you come into this situation at the first place, and then stick to it. Commitment, I think, plays a very, very important role. And as we were talking about Gen Zs and as we were talking about the newer generation, I think a very, very important aspect is that we are losing that whole, the whole tightness of a bond or a relationship or a commitment. So in challenging times, it is very, very important that we understand and we go back to why we chose them, why we came into this relationship at the first place, and what can we do now? There is no point thinking about the past as while keeping the scores and, thinking about and arguing and all of that. The only thing that you need to understand and think of right now is, what can I do now? What is the right decision to be taken now? How can I resolve this conflict? How can I maybe take professional help for this issue? How can I not involve the third person and understand their perspective, if that is a challenging situation we are talking about? Because everyone will have a different perspective, and no two people are duplicates of each other.
Wow, such a powerful thing that you shared over here right now. So, during challenging times, not looking at what went wrong, how can, instead of looking at, okay, who did what went wrong, and what's happening, instead of that, the only focus should be looking forward to, okay, what can we do right now? How can we resolve this situation? Yes, I think that one attitude would be a massive game changer. To everyone who's watching this, type in three things that you have learned from this conversation if you have been there with us from the beginning. And Aarti, how can people reach out to you? It's been a lovely conversation talking to you. If you can go ahead and tell how can they reach out to you, what is your work around and stuff like that. So it would be really helpful for everyone.
Thank you so much. I did not realize it's been so many, it's been like what, 50 minutes we've been talking. And thank you so much for inviting. And I'm so glad that I got the opportunity to speak to your audience and to you as well. And it was lovely talking to you. I have opened certain slots in this week and in the coming week for a one-to-one session, which is a free discovery call. And I invite your audience to connect with me and book a 30 minutes discovery call. They can DM me or click the link in the bio and fill up that form for booking the link. For booking the call, and I would love to speak and understand your challenges and see if I can help you making your relationships better.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much, Aarti. It's been really insightful.
Thank you.
If you can quickly summarize, okay, quickly, whatever we have spoken, I just want to summarize really fast, because for everyone who's joining in right now, we spoke about three love languages. What are the three love languages? Quickly.
It's like giving an exam and then repeating everything again, revising everything again. Uh, So, love languages is a communication that we have with our partner or our loved one. Everybody will have a different kind of love language. Everybody has different expectation. The first one could be a word of appreciation, where you like talking to the other person and taking, words of appreciation from them and giving them. The second could be touch, where you like a physical bond with that person. The third one can be service, act of service, where you like showing your love by doing something for the other person.
And fourth could be gifts.
Of course, fourth is gifts, but I feel that's a little bit in everybody.
Right. Okay, and what are the three red flags that we are talking about? Instead of using words like abuse, narcissism, and all of that, what are the three things that we should be mindful of?
I'm sure you would have written. I'm sorry, now I don't remember what I
Okay.
spoke.
Okay, so it's basically criticism. Yes, criticism is where we need to draw the line, and blaming each other, keeping scores. That is another one where you're not supposed to keep scores. Okay, you did that, I did this, and bringing in the we into the relationship rather than
Yes. The
I.
relationship bubble, the relationship entity which has been born once both of you come together.
Awesome. Thank you so much, so much, so much. It was amazing. I don't feel like ending this because it's been really, really insightful and I loved speaking to you. But thank you so much, guys. Please go ahead and book a 30-minute discovery call where she's going to help you understand what's happening in your relationship. If at all you're going through any challenge, this is a great time to use this opportunity just for all of you. Yes. Thank you for joining in. And with this, we come to the end of the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You've been great host. Thank you very much. And let's catch up once more.